Hello, everyone. My name is Danny. This review is for the movie called The Way Back. This is a 2020 film. It is rated R. It runs an hour and 48 minutes. It's directed by Gavin O'Connor and it stars Ben Affleck, Janina Gavankar, Al Madrigal, Michaela Watkins, Glenn Turman, and Rachel Carpani. The description: a widowed former basketball all-star lost family foundation in a struggle with addiction and attempts to come back by becoming the coach of a disparate, ethnically mixed high school basketball team at his alma mater. This is The Way Back. Well, I'm going to try and keep my words decisive because I have a lot to say about this movie that people are not saying, and I want to make sure that I say it correctly. Okay? I'm not meaning to offend anybody, I'm not meaning to sound heartless. I have my Christian shirt on today, and I'm in the right spirit, I'm in the right mood. I don't want to offend anybody or make anybody argue with me on any of my points, but this is my opinion of the movie, okay? Okay. First of all, I have seen lots and lots of movies lately about celebrities or sports athletes or whatever, people that are a little bit famous in some way that turn to drinking because they have the money to do so, because they fall into depression, because they're not able to live a healthy lifestyle, whatever it is. And when I saw this movie coming out, I saw it had to do with alcoholism. I was a little disgusted because Ben Affleck is one of those actors to me that does these kind of movies and it just turns me off because I know it's going to be vulgar. I know it's going to be full of drinking. I know it's not going to have much of a point. It's going to be really, really dramatic. And it's just not the kind of movie I like to watch. And so I went and saw it with trying to not think about all of that and trying to give it a chance. And I watched the whole thing, and that's what it was. It was a very dramatic movie with no point, full of drinking and full of vulgarity. And it's just not what I like to watch. It still isn't. So I'm not sure what people are getting out of this, and honestly, I disagree with most of the points that I'm hearing. Oh, I can relate to that movie. I used to have trouble with alcohol. Well, then why are you watching this movie? It should almost depress you that people can go through this. It would remind you of one of the hardest parts of your life. I don't understand that. Oh, it's a sports movie. So what? I think it's really cheap and immature of Ben Affleck and the director of this movie to include the basketball team. I think that this movie could have existed about what Ben has going on with his wife and his life and just had his journey, an hour and a half movie about what's going on with him, have him, reconnect with his wife, and that's what kind of brings him out of his depression a little bit. And there you go, happy ending. But no, they had to include this basketball team in his trouble, in his drama, and it shows the scores of some of the games. It shows a little bit part of this game, and then it shows them going into playoffs. But then we know all that from the previews, but then it doesn't show anything after that. And I'm sorry to talk about the ending openly, but I've got to. Is that it doesn't say if he ever becomes the coach of the team again. It doesn't say if they how far they went in the state championship, playoffs, whatever. It doesn't tell us anything, and I hate open-ended endings. Open-ended endings. There you go. I think that's the right way of saying that. And I just don't understand what the point of this movie is. If I were to watch it again, I would write down a lot that's wrong with it. There is a lot wrong with this movie. and most of it has to deal with Ben Affleck, his way of acting, and obviously the director and his way of directing. But like, why are you going to show us a scene of him having every beer in the fridge, and then next day he shows up at practice and he's like this basketball genius? You know, I don't understand how any normal person would be able to function the next day after drinking every beer in the fridge. You know, and finally, maybe a third of the way through this movie, the movie addresses, you know, that he can't do that. And, you know, sorry, nose is still kind of running. And it kind of addresses finally, after, you know, how many drinking episodes, that he cannot exactly function. And it has this scene where he wakes up late. And so, you know, there are consequences to this movie. And as real as everybody says it is, and as much as people can relate to it, it's not realistic. It's not. As a moviegoer and somebody who hasn't dealt with alcoholism, and maybe that's why you want to say I have no idea what I'm talking about, because I haven't had to deal with, you know, being a drinker. I mean, I've had, you know, drinks every once in a while for when I go bowling or whatever, but that's not like, you know, heavy or anything like that. Like this movie and what people say they can relate with this, you know, as much as they have been a drinker in the past. But I cannot watch this movie and honestly take it seriously. That people can drink as much as this and still function on a day to day basis. I've seen one person in my life, you know, be in the middle of this where they have honestly really nothing for dinner every night, just have some beers, go to bed, and go to work the next day. And I have no idea how he functioned on a day to day basis, and I have no idea how Ben Affleck's character is supposed to be able to function. So honestly, I'll be very honest at this point here. I smiled at a couple of things in this movie where at the end, the star on the team, his dad shows up to a game. That's a nice element. Some of the jokes, some of the talking between Ben and the team, like you just know that's what the coach of any basketball team in the world would need to say to this group of players to get them motivated. Nice element, okay? My brother and I that went to this movie, we looked at each other. We're like, yep, that's what needed to be said. And so we just laughed at it. You know, it was good. So this movie has a couple things in it that are appealing, but there's so many holes in it that at the end of the day, I just cannot get over the fact that there's so much wrong with this movie. There's so many bad things in this movie, and the ending is awful, awful, awful. It's gonna get on my nerves for a while, and I just don't know why people aren't addressing these issues. Why are you gonna make a review and just say, "Oh, somebody dealing with an alcohol problem in the sports team. Great movie." That's not delving into it. And I'm trying to delve into this. I'm trying to let people know that there's a lot wrong with this movie. If you are in open consideration while you're watching it, you're going to roll your eyes a couple times. And if you don't, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what else to tell you. But I rolled my eyes a lot. I didn't care for this movie all that much. I thought it had a couple nice elements, and I think that's fair. A C minus for the way back. And honestly, I can't suggest watching it, but I know a lot of people will. So, C minus for the way back. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other videos, try and give something to watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. And enjoy your movies, guys. Thanks.